Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions have decided to part their separate ways, and they're going to work on a deal to get him traded. Where do you want to see Matthew Stafford get traded to? And I asked this question to you guys, and I want you guys to name me one team on your mind that you want to see Matthew Stafford get traded to. So don't name me 5, don't name me 3. Name me one team that you want to see him with. I'll start while you guys think.
I was ready.
I want to see him on the Indianapolis Colts. I think Frank Reich is a great head coach. They have a great defense. They have good offensive weapons with the running game. T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. So is Trey Burton and Mo Alley Cox. So we'll see if they bring them back or not. Xavier Rhodes is also a free agent. We'll see what happens with him. But they need a QB. Rivers just retired, and I think they're gonna end up going with Stafford because who else is on the market that they can get? Deshaun Watson is not going to go to the Colts.
They could get Sam Darnold. After the Jets get Deshaun Watson.
Maybe. I think Deshaun Watson will not go to the Colts because they're in the same division. There's no way they trade him to that same division. Derek Carr, there has been no rumors that the Raiders are going to move on from him this offseason, so I don't know if he's going to be up in the air. I think Matthew Stafford is the most realistic option if you want a proven quarterback. You can go Sam Darnold, but I don't know how proven Sam Darnold is.
And they're ready to compete right now.
Yeah, so I'd go with Matthew Stafford. We'll see what the asking price is. But the last time Stafford had a top 10 defense, which is what the Colts were, he went 11-5. And that was with Joe Lombardi as OC, and they weren't that good. So Stafford on a team that's that great at defense, they can make some noise, and I think he'd do wonders in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think they would automatically become one of the favorites in the AFC alongside, maybe not at the same level with the Chiefs and the Bills, but maybe a step below it. Another team, obviously the Colts were up high on my list, but the next team on my list was the Washington football team. Another team I think had a great defense, could use some help in the weapons department, just like the Colts. I love Ron Rivera as a head coach. I think they're in a good spot, and they're ready to compete right now. And what could help that a lot is Matthew Stafford at quarterback. Last year, I mean, just this past season, they were, one possession away. They had a chance with Tyler Heineke at quarterback to defeat the Bucs, who are now going to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday. So if you could add a guy like Matthew Stafford, who I think is one of the most underappreciated players in the league because he's been stuck on the Lions his whole career, if you could add him, and you could maybe we'll talk about what we think the Washington football team should do, but if you could add him, I think it would bring you a long way as contenders in the NFC.
Well, you kind of stole my pick. I was going to say the Indianapolis Colts. I think them or the Redskins. I didn't even think about the Redskins. But
Washington football team.
I think you guys. I think them or the Washington football team definitely gives him the best chance to be successful. I think Detroit has wasted away his prime, and I think Indianapolis gives him the best bet with the Texans inevitably falling apart and the Titans being only the competition for the Colts. I think Matthew Stafford is better than Phillip Rivers at this point. I think he makes them a little bit better in that sense. And I think you get a guy who can still throw the ball at a high level. So I think that team, if they can get some weapons with Stafford, I think they'll make them not like Buffalo, Bill, Kansas City, but I think it'll definitely make them a notch below.
I mean, I've been waiting to see Matthew Stafford go to a good team since forever because I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. And you talked about them not being able to match up with Buffalo or be on that level. They only lost by 3 points to Buffalo. So I think getting Matthew Stafford puts them at an even level or even above the Buffalo Bills. And I think Matthew Stafford, if he goes to a good team like the Colts, is going to prove himself to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think he's a top 10 talent in the NFL. There's a reason he was a number 1 pick. His career, to this point, his Hall of Fame caliber career has gotten wasted by the Detroit Lions. He's a way better quarterback than what his win-loss record shows there. And I can't wait for Matthew Stafford to go to a team, whether it is the Colts, I hope he does go to the Colts, and have a resurgence kind of like Ryan Tannehill, where now Ryan Tannehill is respected. Because Matthew Stafford, we all know he's great, but a lot of people don't respect him. A lot of football fans don't respect him. They still think that he doesn't win enough and whatever. You can say all this other stuff. I think if he goes to the Colts, he will be respected.
Yeah, and I was actually just the other day watching a Calvin Johnson Megatron highlight reel, 10 minutes long. My two main takeaways from it. My first takeaway, Calvin Johnson is ridiculous. But my second takeaway was, man, Matthew Stafford made some ridiculous throws in that video. Go and watch any Calvin Johnson highlight reel. Some of the throws that Matt Stafford, albeit Calvin Johnson, made incredible plays, some of the throws were incredible. And it went totally under the radar because the Lions have been such a poor franchise over the last decade. But he really has top-tier arm talent in the NFL right now.
Golden Tate called Matthew Stafford the best quarterback he ever played with. And that was after he played with Russell Wilson. So that's high praise saying that about Matthew Stafford. The biggest knock on Stafford early in his career was he can't do it without Calvin Johnson. Megatron retired, and he did it without Calvin Johnson. He put up great numbers. This past year, he had 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. I hope he goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Also, another sleeper pick, the New York Giants. Don't sleep on them. Daniel Jones is not going to be that guy. At least I don't think so. They don't have a number one, but they have a bunch of number twos. And I think the Giants right now, the NFC East is an opportunity to win the division. Washington football team is going to be better, but their offense is still questionable. The Eagles, I don't know what they're going to be. The Dallas Cowboys, you don't know if Dak is going to be back or not. The Giants have a really good opportunity here. Their offensive line is getting better. You get Matthew Stafford with that good defense, they can compete.
Yeah, and it's almost like we talked about Deshaun Watson with the Jets and the Dolphins. One of the most important things for the Jets to look at is you can't let him get to the Dolphins. If you're the Giants, you got to look at this and say, we can't let Matthew Stafford get to the Washington football team, because then that gives them the leg up in the division. That makes the Washington football team the favorites in that division. So if you're the Giants, you're not playing checkers, you're playing chess. Not only are you getting better at the quarterback position, but you're taking away a major option for your division rival.
So just a hypothetical question. What do you think Matthew Stafford makes the Colts? AFC Championship appearance, potential Super Bowl appearance? What do you think?
I think, I just look at it with the Bills, making this big emergence. I can only assume that we're going to see a next big jump from them next year, and if they make the right pieces, I think they'll be a better team. I do believe, though, if Matthew Stafford's still playing at this high level, and if the Colts can get some weapons out there to complement him, I think they'll be right under. I think they can definitely sneak in and get an AFC. I think they can beat the Bills. I don't think they could beat the Chiefs. I would put my money in the Bills, though. But I think they can definitely make an AFC championship.
Yeah, I would say if they got Matthew Stafford, AFC championship would be like the goal. Like, you would have a successful season going to the AFC championship.
The Colts have their top 5 in cap space.
Ooh.
So not only can they get Matthew Stafford, but they can sign a bunch of good to great players in free agency.
Like Chris Godwin.
Maybe they steal Will Fuller from the Texans, and they get Will Fuller, a speedster, to pair up with Pittman and Paris Campbell, who's coming back. I'm going to say this.
Oh, boy.
If Matthew Stafford joins the Indianapolis Colts and they make the right free agency moves and get some big names in free agency, not only will they make the playoffs for sure and win the division for sure, but I have them as Super Bowl sleepers if they get Matthew Stafford. That's how much I believe in Matthew Stafford.
I'll say just getting Matthew Stafford alone would make them the division favorite for me. And I would like to see what they do with the money, and I would not disagree with that take depending on how they spend that money.
Yeah, getting Matthew Stafford alone makes them. I wouldn't disregard that, but getting him some weapons, it'll definitely put them on.
Look at what they did with Phillip Rivers. Rivers had a good season, but he was not the same guy that he was earlier in his career. Right, so if you could give them somebody with Matthew Stafford's arm talent and some money to spend, get another weapon in there, it's scary.